Brian, it seemed like in a lot of ways the second half you played about as well as you played since at least during this 3 game stretch. But then you have this lapse there at the end. What did you see on that last I don't know minute or so sequence?
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to accept some responsibility there because it's always hard. Look, Alex was absolutely gassed. He was running on fumes. I thought we could waste a few minutes, put Reed on. Reed's a capable guy, bigger guy, fresh legs. Maybe he even goes, last minute of the game, does something in the attacking half of the field. But obviously, there's always a risk there. There's always a risk when you come on late in the games to get up to speed. And so when you watch the actual cross, the guy comes here and goes to the back post, and Reed just doesn't make the play. I mean, he's got to learn that, but that's not really why we took that goal. It happened again from a throw-in, a little bit deeper in the field than the Galaxy throw-in, but same principle. There's a large hole in the middle of the field, and Georgie, someone needed to come back in. We press effectively from throw-ins in that area of the field, but they were able to get out. And Georgie was there in the vicinity, but I'll bring this stat up because Jeremiah, the second half, yeah, even the first half, I mean, our possession was 58%. Our expected goals were above 2.25, whatever, whoever you look at. 17 shots, 13 corner kicks. I can talk about all of those stats about how well we played, but you know what? One of my favorite stats are the duels, and they outdueled us tonight. And in the middle of that field, on that play, we didn't make a play. And then Jackson with his header, normally he's very good at directional heading or just head the ball down the field. They go down and, it ends up in our goal. So, yeah, it's again, it's a soft goal. We're leaking soft goals. The first goal obviously was a soft goal, but, that's only half the battle. I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about some other stuff, and I'll end this question right there.
All right, next question will go to Moss.
Hey, Brian. It sounds like there's, if I look at the 3 game, lack of awareness, and you talked about winning duels. That seems like a courageousness or a grittiness to want to win every blade of grass. Is that fair to say is what's lacking
Duels
right
is,
now?
look, no, it's not lacking. It's just they outdueled us in certain moments. That's going to happen because our team's not perfect, but it's a stat that I hold very dear, that we are full of grit and determination and we never give up and all of those things. Tough times don't last, tough people do. All of the stuff that makes me proud to be a Sounder. The duels were pretty heavily in their favor. That's not the reason why this week was a challenging week. It's not. There's other reasons behind it. Well, sure. Since you asked, and to piggyback on Jeremiah's question, the second half of giving up soft goals is the fact that, Obed Vargas is going to go high places, but that first chance he dribbles past 8 of their guys and he shoots from top of the box. He gets that on frame. Stuver's frozen. That's got to be a goal. Jordan Morris runs by his defender. It's got to score. Jordan one-on-one with the goalkeeper. It's got to score. Georgie Manungo scored a great goal from Danny Masoski. He couldn't repeat the fact when Jordan gets in behind and the goalkeeper's at the near post, way out of position, and Georgie kind of doesn't hit it clean and doesn't go in the net. So soccer is a team sport. So we take a goal in the 94th minute, but that game should have been over. It should have been in our favor, based on the offense not executing some moments.
Go ahead, Moss.
Yeah, but Brian, I'm just trying to interpret all that. So what you're saying is that lack of execution and then just playing together as a team or sacrificing for the other player?
Guys, Maz, you know me well enough. The team sacrificed for each other. This is one of the calling cards of this group. It's a fact that we had clear chances in the game to make it 2-1, 3-1, and put this game to bed. The offensive guys have to execute. They have to execute just as much as I complain about, the giving up the last goal, the 2 goals against Galaxy, Christian's giveaway against Miami. Defenders always get the wrath because it's easy, it's a negative. The forwards can go, oh, gosh, I tried my bad, or I was this close, or people can talk about that, but you have to look at both things evenly. You can't just kill the defenders that are giving up goals. You gotta make sure you hold the forward or the attacking players accountable as well.
Very clear. Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
All right, Jada, over to you, please.
Thanks. Brian, to kind of build on that just a little bit, are you also then saying that, or how did you feel that Stuver performed though? Because there was like maybe Jordan's placement wasn't good, but there seemed like there were two where he did make really good saves too.
You always, Jada, it's a great question. You always have to give credit to the opponent. Brad Stuver stood on his head tonight. He made some really good saves, came out and collected some balls, punched some balls. He had an excellent performance. But at the end of the day, our guys have to score those.
For sure. And then also with y'all, Steph was sick. Can you elaborate a little bit about what happened? Because that happened on Saturday.
Well, there's HIPAA rules, and so on Friday evening, I can't tell you, what it is, but Friday night he didn't get a lot of sleep because he fell ill. Tried to come in on Saturday because he's a warrior and wanted to go on the trip. But I had to make a decision for the better of the group that I didn't want someone to risk infecting anybody else in the travel party. And so that was my decision to leave Steph at home.
Thank you, Coach. I just wanted to know what the thought process was into starting Schneider Burnell today at the right wing position in comparison to other options that you had specifically there. Is there anything that you saw that you thought he could provide today against Austin?
Yeah, he could provide energy, possession. Against Miami in the Heat, we didn't keep enough possession. We had more runners on the field. And look, Jesus didn't start because he had some tightness, and that was just precautionary. He had played heavy minutes in the previous 2 games, so I wasn't going to risk Jesus. He's too important to the team, and Snyder was a good choice out there.
And look, I don't want to, ask some questions like Moss, but I was wondering in terms of what you had today at the winger position. Uh, you know, after the game, did you feel like maybe there was somebody else that could have provided you something differently, or are you okay with that decision that you made tonight to just put Snyder Burnell in that position?
I'm totally fine with my decision there because who's going to replace Obed? Snyder's a natural fit. Danny Leva's going to get consideration. I don't want to move Albert back a line. If you're specifically trying to figure out why Georgie didn't start after a decent performance in Miami, that's fresh legs. If you're wondering why Pedro didn't see the field, that was because, again, the tendonitis and then the way the game unfolded. I wanted to get Pedro on the field. He might have been able to help us there win the game, but at 1-1, substitution patterns changed a little bit. And he's obviously disappointed, but I talked to him after the game. Snyder is a talented kid. And if you're going to look at the next 3 games when Obed's gone, or possibly 4, we need to find solutions. One of the solutions was seeing if Snyder's ready.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, Felipe, over to you, please.
Thank you, Alex. Coach Brian, my question is for Jordan Morris. You're giving him more minutes every time. Can you tell me about his performance on today's game and if you think that he's to his full potential?
Well, he's disappointed because Jordan is such a team guy that he feels like he let his teammates down because he thinks he could have done better on those two opportunities. I know Jordan is a fighter and he's going to want to rectify that. He's going to want to try and come and play better and score goals. That's part of who he is. So today's performance was again a step in the right direction. Obviously, Danny Masowski had another assist. He looked dangerous. So I'm very pleased. I'm very happy to have plenty of options as the number 9.
All right, George, we're going your way next. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, Coach. So my first question was regarding Obed and who would replace me. It looks like it's going to be Snyder Brunel. So if you could talk a little bit about what you see in Snyder that you think is ready for this call-up, and also where João Paulo stands on the pecking order. And then the second part of the question is also related to the Under 20 World Cup. With Reed gone, if you are a little bit worried about your coverage with the fullbacks, since Cody and Travian are now playing for other teams.
No, I mean, those were decisions that we made as a collective. I'll answer the last one first. I mean, Cody played left back, yes. Travion really hasn't had any first team minutes. We'll be fine. I mean, we are light in that position. And certainly if when Nuhu gets called in, that game against RSL is going to be tricky. But again, it's next man up. We'll find a solution. There's solutions out there. As far as Snyder is concerned, that's not 100% in my mind. Don't get my words wrong. He did start the game in a position right next to Christian against Sporting Kansas City, where we won 5-2. So he's one of the candidates. But it's Snyder, it's Danny Leyva, it's moving Albert back a line, it's Alex in the middle and Kalani as a right back. There's different options. So we'll work through those options in the lead up to Vancouver, and we'll see if we can get a result there. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try the next one until we get it right.
Appreciate all the interest tonight. We need to round this one home, so I'm going to take one or two more. Jeremiah, go with your follow-up, please. Brian, obviously a big game coming up here, a couple big games coming up against rivals. What is the sort of the messaging to the team in terms of not just the results for this, but sort of getting the season back going the direction you want?
Well, the message started even before this game. Look, we knew Miami was going to be tough, but the messaging to this game is every game is a playoff game. I know that's coach speak. 6-point games in conference. It applied to this game. Vancouver's ahead of us, but we want to stay close. Portland obviously is chasing us from behind. So these are all critical games, Jeremiah, and they've heard that message. They're going to continue to hear it. That's the easy part of coaching.
Jada, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was that. I just, do you feel that you're in do you feel a panic situation at all here because of, you've only got a few games?
No, we only have a few games left, Jada, and the team is not performing up to its abilities. Again, I will shoulder a lot of that blame. I have to make sure that the players that I put out there are in sync, that the right guys are out in the right spots, that the training environment is good, that they enjoy, being together as a group. This is a special group. I don't want them to lose the feeling that everybody had 3 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago for Leagues Cup final, and we're going to try the best we can to kind of get that good mojo back.